As I told you, I'm going to speak in English, but if you have anything you'd like to ask about in Arabic, it's okay. يعني ما فيش مشكلة خالص. Okay. طيب, first of all, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Dr. Amina Souayed, and I'm a professor in chemistry. I'm professor in chemistry. I teach O level, I teach AS and HO, of course. I teach the 3 levels. And I teach both O-level Cambridge and O-level Edexcel. I'm going to give you information about both today, and then at the end, I'm going to explain a small part in the syllabus, a very small part, okay? So first of all, as an introduction, chemistry is a very interesting subject. Of course, chemistry is present in whatever present in our life. When you prepare drugs, then you will see that chemistry is included in the preparation of drugs. All the plastics that we have at our home, all of them are made of organic substances, which of course are chemical substances. You will see that even the air that we breathe, it's oxygen, the water that we drink, everything are chemical substances. So today, inshallah, we are going to see what is the difference between the O-level Cambridge and the O-level Edexcel. Now we will start with Cambridge. Of course, both of them are interesting. Both of them are simple. They contain simple topics, and the syllabus itself is simple. And you can get a star, or you can get 9 if your school deals with the 1 to 9. Then you can get the 9 very easy. You can get the A star very easy. But of course, you have to study. Nobody will get A star. Nobody will get 9 except if he or she studies. So you have to study. But of course, chemistry is not a difficult subject. Just you understand it. You have to understand first, and then you memorize. Every subject have a part that you should memorize. In biology, of course, you have to memorize many names, and you have to memorize many things in biology. In math, you have to memorize the rules. But in chemistry, we want to understand first, and if we understand and then we study, we can memorize very easily. And you will see that many students get A star or get 9 in chemistry. It's very easy. Now, of course, when we take O-level Cambridge as at the beginning, I'm going to talk about O-level Cambridge. You will see that O-level Cambridge has 3 papers that you have to take your exam in. We have paper 2, which is multiple choice questions. You get 40 multiple choice questions. If you study the chemistry, they will be very easy questions. You can answer them very quickly. Every question has a mark. So you get 40 questions with 40 marks. And you will do this exam paper in 45 minutes. And of course, after you get your mark in, your real mark that you took in the exam is 40. They multiply it by 1.5 so that the total mark will be 60 marks instead of 40. 40 is within the exam paper, but afterwards they will multiply it by 1.5 in order to get it in 60. And then we have paper 4, which has 80 marks, but it's going to be multiplied by 1.25 so that it will be 400 marks. And in this paper, you have questions that are short answered and structured questions. So there are some questions that you have to answer, and you have to write paragraphs. But of course, it will not be a big paragraph. You can answer in just 2 sentences or more, of course, depending on the question itself. If the question has 2 marks, this means that they need it needs you give 2 answers. If it has 3 marks, this means that the question you have to give them 3 answers, and that's and so on. It has 80 marks, and as I told you, it's going to be multiplied by 1.25. And the last paper, the third paper, is alternative to practical, because you have a chapter that deals with practical techniques, experimental techniques. And of course, you are not going to be examined practically, but you are going to be examined alternative to practical. It means that you are going to be asked questions about the practical part that you took. It's a very easy question. It has 40 marks, and you are going to take the exam in 1 hour, and it's not going to be multiplied by anything. So the 40 marks are still 40 marks. And here the 40 marks will change to 60. And here the 80 marks will change to 100. But here the 40 marks will remain 40 marks. And it's very easy. So you will see that we have two very easy papers, which are paper 2 and paper 6. And of course, paper 4 will also be very easy if you study, because you have to study. For any subject, you have to study. You cannot, even if the subject is easy, you cannot get a star except if you study. And of course, I'm going to show you how to study. Now, these are the 3 papers that we are going to have if you are going to take O-level Cambridge. Now, if you are going to take O-level Cambridge, we either have 0620 or you have 5070. Both are the same. They are the same for both. They have the same marks. As you see, they have maybe the time at which you solve your exam for this 5070. It's 1 hour for paper 1, but it's only 45 minutes in paper 2 in the 0620 exam. That's all. But all the rest will be, it's the same syllabus, everything, and the same number of papers. For O-level Edexcel, now we have 2 different systems. Up till the year before the previous one, also for the O-level Edexcel, you had to study all the year round, because as you know that in O-level Cambridge, we'll take all the syllabus the whole year, and you are going to take your exam at the end of the year. O-level Edexcel now have 2 systems. The first system, which is called the linear system, you are going to do the same as the O-level Cambridge. You are going to study the whole syllabus for the whole year, and then you will take your final exam at the end. But nowadays, and starting from the previous year, last year, the O-level Edexcel is now, they divided it into 2 units, and they call them the modular system. They divided the chemistry syllabus into 2 units. Unit 1, I don't know if you can see the page or not. I think you don't see it. Can you see the page now? This is the modular system, the new advanced modular system. I don't know why you cannot see it. You don't see it? You can see it, right? I'm going to talk, Yani. It is divided, the system, the modular system. It's a new system, and they divided the syllabus into 2 units, Unit 1 and Unit 2. They divided the syllabus into 2. The first part is going to be studied in Unit 1, and the second part is going to be studied in Unit 2. Yani, this means that you are going to take some topics and take your exam in this Unit 1 by the end of the year, and then in another year you can take Unit 2. Or some students in some schools, they took both units together in the same year. It's okay, but you will have an exam for Unit 1 and you have another exam for Unit 2. And some students prefer to take only 1 unit during the whole year, and the other unit, they are going to postpone it to the second year. Okay, so it depends on your school and depends on what you want. So in Edexcel now, there is a new system, which we call it the modular system, at which the syllabus is divided into 2 parts, where the first part you are going to take the Unit 1 exam, and then in the second part, you take the Unit 2 exam. Or else some other schools still go on by the old system, where we call this the linear system, where you study the whole units 1 and 2 together, and you are going to take your exam at the end of the year. So it depends upon your school. Okay, طبعا, of course, if we have this is the linear old system. In the linear old system, we have 2 papers to be examined in. In paper 1, you study principles of chemistry, inorganic of chemistry, physical chemistry, and organic chemistry. It had 61.1% of the total mark. And then you have another paper, which is, of course, the total number of marks is 110, and it's a written exam of 2 hours. It has a total of 110 marks. And of course, within the questions, you will have multiple choice questions beside short answered questions, beside calculations, because we have a chapter both in Cambridge and Edexcel. We have a chapter that has calculations. So you will have calculations within this paper and extended open response questions. And then you have another paper, which is paper 2. This is the linear system, where it constitutes 38.9% of the total mark. And you will also study the same. As you see, it's the same main topics, but of course there are different topics within them. And this is the linear system. You are going to take the exam in both papers. You are going to take the same topics, including the principles of chemistry, inorganic, physical, and organic chemistry. But you see that in paper 2, you are not going to take the exam in the whole topics, but they are going to choose some of the topics within these titles that you are going to take paper 2 in. Understand me? And you have 2 papers. In paper 1, you are going to be examined in all the syllabus. You see the same titles are present. But in paper 2, within these titles, they are going to choose part of each title so that you take your exam in paper 2. And that's why the mark here is smaller. It constitutes only 38.9% of the total mark. It's only 70 marks compared to 110 marks for paper 1. And the exam paper will be, the time will be 1 hour and 15 minutes. And it also includes the same as the first one. It includes multiple choice questions. It includes short answer questions and extended open response questions. For the modular system, the new system, you will have Unit 1 having 90 marks and Unit 2 having 90 marks. And as I told you, they divided the syllabus into 2 parts. The first part, you are going to take the exam in Unit 1, and you are not going to be examined at it anymore. And in Unit 2, you have other topics, new topics, and you are going to be examined in them, having 90 marks. And you are not going to get questions from Unit 1, except only 2 parts that they say that you are going to study in both Unit 1 and in Unit 2. Okay, so you will see that both O-level Cambridge and O-level Edexcel, in both of them, you are going to study all these topics. You are going to study about states of matter that you have studied before, the solid, liquid, and gaseous states. You are going to study about atoms, elements, and compounds. You are going to study about stoichiometry. This is the chapter where we are going to have problems. You are going to study about electrochemistry and see how, using electricity, we can split up chemical compounds into their elements. We are going to study a chapter about chemical energetics. We will see that we have endothermic and exothermic reactions. Of course, everything is going to be dealt with by its turn. Chemical reactions means that we are going to study about the rates of reactions. We will see that some reactions are fast and other reactions are slow. So how can we increase the rate of any reaction? What are the factors affecting the rate of the reaction, and how can we increase the rate of any reaction? We are going to study about acids, bases, and salts, about the periodic table, about the metals and their extraction, chemistry of environment, organic chemistry, and we have experimental techniques and chemical analysis. All these topics you are going to study in both O-level Cambridge and O-level Edexcel, in both. But the difference is that in O-level Edexcel, they like you to know about experimental techniques more. Yani they will give you more than one experiment, for example, to see the percentage of oxygen in the air. The air consists of nitrogen, oxygen, and carbon dioxide and other gases in very small amounts. So we are going to take experiments that show us how to get the percentage of oxygen in the air. So for example, in Edexcel, they will give you 3 experiments about this part. They will give you 3 experiments to show you how do we get the percentage of oxygen in the air. But in Cambridge, they will not give you these experiments. They will show you the percentage of oxygen, but they are not going to give you experiments to show you how did we reach this percentage, which is the 21%. You are not going to study an experiment. In, for example, in O-level Cambridge and in Edexcel, both of you will study electrochemistry. But in O-level Cambridge, they give you more experiments to be done here in order to show you how different substances can be split by the use of electricity. In Edexcel also you will see, but you will get smaller examples. Number of examples will be less than the number of examples in Cambridge. For example, in metals, in the extraction of metals, you will see that in Cambridge you are going to take the extraction in metals in more detail than in Edexcel. But whether you are in Edexcel or Cambridge, you are going to study all these topics. But as I told you, in one of the, for example, Cambridge or Edexcel, you will get it in a more easier way than the other. Not easier, but I mean, in one of them, you will get it in more details than the other. Okay, but as I told you at the beginning, chemistry is a very easy substance from which you can get A star easily if you work. Now, before I go through part of the syllabus, you will see that for me, I explain the lesson. I give you notes for each lesson. I give you classified papers, and we are going to solve the classified papers. I'm going to solve part of them with you, and another part I'm going to give it to you as a homework. Of course, I expect that you attend all the lessons. I expect you attend all the lessons because this is very important to understand. As I told you, if you understand chemistry, you will be able to memorize it very quickly. And then I expect that you attend all the lessons. I expect you to ask me for whatever you do not understand. I would like students always to talk with me, to argue with me, to tell me why is this and why the other is not correct. If you have any questions, don't be shy to ask. You have to ask me everything you want. You have to ask me even on the WhatsApp page, and even when you study at home after we finish the lesson, you study the lesson. You don't have, of course, to study it as soon as we finish, but you can study it, for example, the same day, but later or next day, it's okay. But you have to study the lesson so that you know where are the parts that you understand and where are the parts that you do not understand. If there is something that you do not understand, you can ask me on the WhatsApp page, or you can ask me the next lesson, or even you can ask my assistant. Of course, you will have an assistant, You can ask her whatever you want, or ask him whatever we have as an assistant. And also, I'm going to make a quiz after each chapter. I expect that all of you solve the quizzes, except, of course, if you have any issue, then you can tell me, and I will tell you to solve it another time. For me, I prefer that when you study, first of all, you have to read the notes. If you want to hear the record once more, it's okay. That's why I give you records. That's why I give you records, in order that you return to them back if you need the explanation once more. Then you study by writing. I prefer that after you read the notes, you can study by writing, because when you study by writing, everything will be kept in your mind. Everything will be, and you will not lose the information because you wrote it. And whenever we write anything, it sticks to our head. It's not like reading. When you read, you think that you understand everything, but when you start to solve, you will see that you forgot something. That's why I prefer that when you study by writing. And whenever you want to ask about anything, ask me anytime. I'm ready for you at any time. You can ask me whatever you'd like to. Okay? So this is how I'm going to work with you, through explanation, through solving classified papers. And of course, at the end of the year, we are going to solve as many past papers as we could. Always, in general, we usually solve from 2019 till the end, till 2025. And we have many, of course, past papers to solve, and we will solve them together, inshallah. Our period will be 2 hours. And for the timings, we are going to choose the timing together, because I know that you take other lessons, and maybe you are free at a time and you are not free at another time. So we will arrange this together and choose the timings that will suit you. We will take twice a week, inshallah. And as I told you, this will be arranged together between us. For the experiments, even on O-level Cambridge, for example, we have some tests. We are going to do tests on some of the elements, like oxygen, like hydrogen. I'm going to explain it to you, and then I'll show you a video to show you how these tests are made. For example, we are going to take something called titration. I'm going to show you what do we mean by titration, how do we do it experimentally, so that when you see it experimentally, you can imagine what is done. And maybe you are going to do these experiments as well at school, so you can see at school, and then you can see it with me, or the opposite, you see with me, and then at school, then you will be able to understand what is happening. Of course, we are going to summarize whatever we take in tables, so that this will make it easier for you to study. So chemistry, wallahi, is going to be very easy for you, inshallah, if you study. As I repeat, if you study, because you cannot get excellent except if you study. Okay, this is about the syllabus. Of course, I was just writing here some of the information that we are going to get in some of the chapters, but I think that you don't need to have them now. I'm just writing things. Of course, acid-base reactions, the periodic table. We are going to study about experimental techniques. I'm going to show you all the glassware and all the instruments that we are going to use in the experimental technique chapter and chemical analysis. So do you have any questions concerning regarding O-level Cambridge or O-level Edexcel before I go through the explanation of some topics inside our syllabus? Do you have any question? Any questions? Right. Okay. Chapter 2. In chapter 2, we will have a chapter that is called atoms, elements, molecules, compounds, and mixtures. And of course, even those who are going to study Edexcel, you are going to take the difference between atoms, elements, molecules, and compounds. And I know that you have taken them before, in the pre-IG, but some of the students get confused. What is the difference between an atom? What is the difference between an element and a compound? What is the difference between an atom and an element? What are molecules? Why in some cases we say molecules for elements, and why in some cases we say molecules for compounds? So today I'm going to give you a small hint about the difference between atoms, elements, molecules, and compounds. Now, when we look at atoms, we see that atoms are the smallest particle in any substance. And if you take a small piece of copper metal, for example, and if you were able to divide it into very small pieces, then the very small piece, the last piece that you can break down, is called an atom. So the atoms are very small. Of course, we cannot see them by our own eyes. Even by certain microscopes, we are not able to see them. Their dimensions are very small. And that's why they are the smallest particle in an element, or the smallest particle in any compound. And atoms, they are electrically, they have no electrical charge. Of course, we are going to see why. So atoms are the very small particles that we can get if we break down any matter into very small pieces. So we get the atoms, and they are electrically neutral. We say that they are electrically neutral. It means that they do not have any charge. Now, what is the difference between an atom and an element? We see that the element is a pure substance. It is a pure substance, and it consists of only one type of atoms and cannot be broken into simpler substances. So the element is a pure substance. It is pure, and it consists of only one type of atoms and cannot be broken into simpler substances. Now, what is the difference between an element and the atom? We have seen that an atom is the smallest particle, and here we say that an element cannot be broken into simpler substances. But yet, the element is divided into two types. We have what we call monoatomic element, and we have what we call diatomic elements. We have monoatomic elements and we have diatomic elements. What do we mean by that? We will see that some elements are very stable when they are only one atom. For example, if we take the inert gases, I think you heard about the inert gases. The inert gases, which are the helium, the neon, the argon, krypton, and xenon. So here we have helium, neon, argon, krypton, and xenon. We'll see that all these inert gases, they are very stable. That's why we call them inert. Inert means that they do not like to react with anything else. They are very stable. And so every atom is alone. It doesn't want to make any interaction with any other atom, even with an atom like itself. Helium does not want to have a reaction even with another helium like itself, not to react with neon, not to react with hydrogen, not to react with oxygen. They do not want to react with anything else. They are very stable. Very stable means that they do not want to react with anything else. And that's why they stay by themselves in atoms, in the form of atoms. So we call them monoatomic. Mono means one. When we say mono, this means one. So every one atom is alone. It will stay alone. It will not react with any other atom. But some other elements are diatomic. Diatomic means that they cannot stand by themselves. Every two atoms must be together. Yani, for example, when we say oxygen, for example, when we say oxygen, we see that oxygen is O2. It means that every two oxygen atoms must be together. They must move together. The oxygen that we breathe must be in the form of O2. Every two oxygen atoms must be together while they are moving. The oxygen atom alone cannot move by itself. It does not exist. Yani, there is no oxygen atom existing. Oxygen molecule exists. It means that every oxygen atom would like to have another one like itself, another oxygen atom, and both of them must move together. An atom by itself cannot move. It must have another atom to move with. For example, if we have something like nitrogen, which is also present in the air, we see that nitrogen is also N2. It means that every nitrogen must move with another nitrogen like itself. It does not move alone. No nitrogen atom move alone. It must be together with another atom. They must hold their hands together and move together. It does not like to move alone. The same for hydrogen, for example. Hydrogen, it also is diatomic. It means that every two hydrogens must hold their hands together and move together. Every hydrogen atom alone cannot move alone. The same for the halogens that we have, the chlorine, it is Cl2, bromine, Br2, and so on. So we have two types of elements. One of them is the monoatomic element, in which each atom can move alone. It does not like to move with anything else. It does not like to make any reaction with anything else. And these are like the inert gases, helium, neon, argon, krypton, and xenon. But other elements, we call them diatomic. Di means two. Di means two. It means that every two atoms must move together. It does not like to move alone, but it must hold another oxygen atom together to move with. This is the oxygen molecules that we have in the air. Nitrogen the same, hydrogen the same, all the halogens, chlorine, bromine, iodine, fluorine, all these are diatomic elements. They must be two of them. And the third type, it's rare, but there are two elements that are polyatomic. Poly means many. When we say poly, it means many. Then you will see that many atoms must be together. When they move, they must be together. Like what? Like, for example, phosphorus. Excuse me, because I'm writing on the same page, but of course, when I teach on Zoom, I have a whiteboard at which I can write freely. So phosphorus, we'll see that every 4 phosphorus atoms must move together. And you cannot find a phosphorus atom alone. They must be 4 together. And the other element is sulfur. We'll see that sulfur is S8. It means that every 8 sulfur atoms must move together. They form the element sulfur. So we have 3 types of elements: monoatomic, diatomic, and polyatomic, like phosphorus and sulfur. Only these two elements are the polyatomic elements, P4 and Sp. So that's why you see here that an element is a substance that consists of only one type of atoms. If you look here at the inert gases, which are monoatomic, of course, it's one type of atom. Now, if you look at the diatomic elements, oxygen or nitrogen or hydrogen, you will also see the same, that even they are 2 atoms, but both of them are of the same type. Yani here the oxygen, and this is another oxygen. This is nitrogen bonded to another nitrogen. It means yani, moving with another nitrogen. Hydrogen moving with a hydrogen like itself. So they are always, even here, you have 4 phosphorus atoms that are moving together. 6 sulfur atoms, all of them are of the same type. There is no difference. Not one of them hydrogen and the other Cl. No, both of them are hydrogens. Both of them are oxygens. Both of them are nitrogen. So this is what we mean here by elements are pure substances that consist of only one type of atoms, and they cannot be broken into simpler substance. What do you mean by that? Yani even if you want to break the oxygen into oxygen atoms, yes, you can do so. But in that case, it will lose all the properties of oxygen. Yani we know that we can breathe oxygen. In the air, we breathe oxygen. But if this oxygen molecule or this oxygen element is broken so that I break it into two oxygen atoms, then it will lose the properties of the oxygen gas that we know, and we will not be able to breathe it. We cannot breathe it because it's not oxygen anymore. So if you break any element into its atoms, even if it is a diatomic element or a polyatomic element, if you break it, then it will lose its properties. You will not be able to have the properties of oxygen anymore, nor the properties of nitrogen or hydrogen or the halogens. They will lose all the properties if they are broken. So that's why we say that it cannot be broken into simpler substances, because if it is broken, it will lose its properties. Okay, so here, this is the difference between an atom and an element. The element could be an atom, and it could be diatomic. It means two atoms together or more than two atoms together. So the atom is the smallest particle of any matter, but an element must have one type of atoms and cannot be broken into simpler substances. Otherwise, it will lose the properties of this substance. Okay, you understand this? Or do you have a question? Do you have any question? And of course, here I'm giving you some examples of elements. We have gold, it's an element. Sodium, metal, is an element. Sulfur is an element, the S8, as I told you. We have copper is an element. This is oxygen, and this is chlorine. All these are different types of elements, or different examples, I mean, of elements. Now, what are بقى compounds? What is the difference between an element and a compound? The compound is a pure substance, but it consists of atoms, two or more different atoms. There must be two or more different atoms that are chemically combined together. Yani, for example, if we have something like magnesium oxide, then magnesium oxide consists of two different elements, which are the magnesium atoms and the oxygen atoms. When a magnesium atom reacts with an oxygen atom, they produce a compound. So you see the difference between the compound and the element. In the element, we said that both atoms must be of the same type. These are elements. Both atoms must be of the same type. Oxygen with an oxygen, nitrogen with a nitrogen, chlorine with a chlorine. They must be of the same type. But in compounds, the atoms must be different. Yani, for example, if you have, as we said, magnesium oxide, so you have magnesium atom and you have oxygen atom. They are completely different from each other, but together, when they bond together, they will form what we call a compound. If water, for example, water is considered a compound because it is formed from the reaction between hydrogen and oxygen. If we react hydrogen with oxygen, we get water. The water it has the formula, the chemical formula H2O. It means that every two hydrogen atoms react with one oxygen atom to produce the water that we know, that we drink, that we wash our clothes with. Okay, so this is water. It's a reaction between two different atoms, two different elements, hydrogen and oxygen. So we get what we call a compound. So there is a difference between an element where all the atoms are the same and a compound which have two or more atoms, but they must be different in order to react chemically together. they must react together to form a compound. And here are some examples. The salt that you eat, or you put on your food, consists of two different elements, sodium and chlorine. The sodium and chlorine, when they react together, they form the salt that we place on our food, which is the sodium chloride. It is a compound. The same here for water. If you have water, is H2O. This is water. It means that the water, as we said before, consists of hydrogen and oxygen elements that reacted together and formed a compound. So water is a compound. Since it contains two different elements, then it's a compound. When we look here at carbon dioxide is also a compound because it consists of carbon plus oxygen. When carbon and oxygen react together, they form what is known as carbon dioxide. It forms the carbon dioxide that is present in the air. This is ethanol. The ethanol, of course, all of us use ethanol since the COVID or the corona, whatever, but you name it, since it started. We usually use now ethanol at our homes as an antiseptic, so we use ethanol. Ethanol, as you see, we have three different elements. We have carbon element, we have oxygen element, and we have hydrogen elements. Together, they form a compound. So we have elements and compounds. So what is the molecule? We have known now that there are substances that we call them elements, others that we call them compounds. So what are molecules? Molecules are two or more elements together. The elements could be the same or they could be different. So this means that the elements are considered also as molecules. They are not atoms. Atoms means only one atom is present, but a molecule means two atoms are present together, whether the atoms are similar as in the case of elements or they are different as in the case of compounds. So hydrogen is a molecule as well as an element. We can call it an element or we can call it a molecule. Chlorine is an element and we can also call it a molecule. Sodium chloride is a molecule, but it is a compound. So we can call it two names. We can say a compound and we can call it a molecule. Water, we can call it a compound and we can call it a molecule. So the molecule means that we have two or more atoms bonded together, whether they are similar or they are different, as in case of carbon dioxide or ethanol or water or sodium chloride. Okay, you understand now what is the difference between an atom, a molecule, and a compound? Atom, elements, and compounds. You understand this? Well, do you have a question? Okay, any questions? Of course, afterwards, after we take the definitions out and explanation about the difference between atoms, elements, and compounds, then in this chapter, we start to study about the components inside an atom. As we said, that the atom is very, very small, but inside it, there are other particles that we call them the subatomic particles, which are the protons, neutrons, and electrons. We know that inside an atom, there is what we call the nucleus. It is in the middle of the atom. And then we have shells, orbitals that are moving around the nucleus in different positions like this. And we call these shells, or we call them orbitals, at which electrons are present. We have three subatomic particles. It means these are the particles that are found inside the atom, which are the protons, neutrons, and electrons. And then we start to discuss these particles, and we study about the relative masses and the relative charges, because if an atom is very, very small, so what about the protons and the neutrons and the electrons inside it? Of course, they are much, much, very, very, very small. And that's why we cannot talk about their masses, but we talk about the relative masses and relative charges. Of course, afterwards, we take the mass of the atom that is concentrated inside the nucleus. I'm not going by Yani because this is an orientation, so I've just wanted to give you a hint about the difference between some of the expressions that we use in chemistry. How do we write chemical symbols, and what are these numbers above and below the symbols? We have neutral atoms, and we have what we call isotopes. We have what we call isotopes. It means that it's the same kind of element, but it will have different numbers of neutrons inside it. It will have the same number of protons, but different number of neutrons. So these are called isotopes. Isotopes are like the twins. If you have a twin, two boys or two girls that are twins in your classroom, for example, you will see that they are exactly similar to each other. They have the same they have the same color of eyes. They have the same color of hair. They have many things that are common between them. They are twins, but maybe one of them is fat and the other is thin. So this is the difference between them. So isotopes are like the twins. They have the same number of electrons, they have the same number of protons, but they differ in the number of neutrons. And that's why we will see that the mass of one of them is smaller than the others. Every one of them has a different mass, like the twins, they have different weights. So here also, the isotope will have different masses. We are going to talk about the isotopes, and we are going to see how in the periodic table they place the elements. They are not going to place all the isotopes present, but how are we going to calculate the relative atomic mass of each element? And we are going also to see that after the elements lose electrons or gain electrons, they form what we call ions. But as I told you, Yani, I'm not going to explain more than that. It's an orientation, so you just want to know a hint about the course. If you have any questions regarding the course itself or regarding my way of teaching, please, you may ask. Abdurrahman, Iyad, Muhammad, Rafat, Trinity, Yara. If you have any question, please ask. I think that you don't have. So I wish you all the best wishes and all luck. And I wish you all to get A star or 9 if you are going by the 1 to 9 numbers. I wish you all to get excellent marks. Bi'Iznillah. Thank you so much and have a very nice year. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
You're welcome, dear. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye all. Thank you so much.